if you ask a customer, do you have an AD recovery plan? The answer is usually yes, we've got it covered with our backup software. So I'd say press them some more. For example, have you tried recovering your AD? Because there is a world of difference between restoring a user and recovering an entire forest.
Hello and welcome to another episode of A Cuppa with Climb. Today we are discussing the next steps in cyber resilience after implementing preventative security software. That's right, it's backup and recovery. Joining me to take us through this important next step in maintaining a secure Active Directory is Al Holmes, Principal Solutions Architect at Quest. It's really great to meet you. Could you tell me a little bit more about your role?
Hi, good to meet you as well, Hope. Thanks. So I've been with Quest for about 11 years now, and I work across EMEA, advising customers on the best way to help protect their Microsoft identities with Quest solutions.
That's great, thank you. We've got a lot to cover today, and we're going to start with a bit of bad news. Even after a company has forked out a huge expense to secure their Active Directory and prevent potential data breaches, why do they then need a backup and recovery solution?
Simple, because even the best perimeter security, you've still got users on the inside of that perimeter. And we're finding more and more that they're actually being targeted by the bad guys in an attempt to gain a foothold in the AD. So the hacker can then start to move across the systems, and each time they move, hopefully they're gaining more and more access until they get to their end goal, which is control of the AD. And that's when the fun really starts. But also, let's not forget that accidents do happen, and that can result in major problems for AD as well.
I see, so there's external and internal risks there. So what does happen when a business suffers an AD data breach? What processes and solutions should they have in place?
Because historically most companies have used Microsoft products, Office, operating system, SharePoint, Exchange, it makes perfect sense for them to run Active Directory. They all have a reliance on AD for authentication to some degree or other. So without AD being highly available, there's no way of gaining access to, well, pretty much anything. Consequently, most organizations will come to a screeching halt until AD is restored. That's why Gartner have said recently that the restore process for many well-documented ransomware attacks has been hindered by not having an Active Directory restore process. To be honest, it's great to see Gartner finally raising the profile of AD as a critical part of the whole cyber resilience story.
Absolutely, I completely agree. And of course, Quest are the industry leaders in backup and recovery solutions. So could you tell me a little bit more about their products that they offer?
So of course we've got our NetVault product that's designed to look after the recovery of your on-premise and cloud-based data. But as far as identities are concerned, the flagship product is Recovery Manager for Active Directory, or RMAD DRE, Disaster Recovery Edition, for on-premise Active Directory, and our SaaS-based platform on-demand recovery for Azure AD.
Interesting, I see. So what would you say are the top features that resellers should be highlighting to their customers?
Simplicity, speed, completeness. So when we designed Recovery Manager DRE, we had a number of goals in mind. Firstly, it had to be simple to use, so we needed to automate everything, as the process of recovering an AD forest is very long-winded, with a lot of manual steps that have to be completed in the correct order. This typically requires a really in-depth knowledge of AD, so when you're in a recovery situation, the pressure is really on to get the systems back up and running as quickly as possible. The last thing you want to be doing is reading a manual. Secondly, it had to be quick. It's fine automating things to make it simple to use, but it also needs to have a speed advantage, even over well-documented manual processes. It's fair to say that the vast majority of ADs have multiple domain controllers that will need to be restored. Manual processes based on the Microsoft Best Practice Guide require you to restore one DC at a time until the whole of your AD is back up and running. If you've got 10 or even hundreds of DCs in your environment, that's simply time you don't have. A software-driven process like WeEmploy allows you to execute the recovery in parallel on all the DCs at the same time, without the fear of something being missed, which could require you to start the whole recovery process again from the beginning. And thirdly, we wanted to keep the stakeholders as small as possible, whilst offering choices over the recovery process. By that I mean a manual process typically requires IT staff from different departments to get involved in the recovery. For example, the AD administrator may not be able to start the AD recovery until the server provisioning team have provided new servers to recover onto. Or you may have to wait for the backup department to restore the original DCs, possibly complete with zero-day vulnerabilities or ransomware infections that caused the problem in the first place. DRE gets round these problems by giving the AD administrator complete control over how, where and when to perform that recovery.
I see. Thank you so much for taking us through those really, really important 3 steps. And how can resellers do more to promote these solutions to their customers? They're clearly so important. What questions or conversations should they be initiating?
That's a tricky one, because if you ask a customer, do you have an AD recovery plan? The answer is usually yes, we've got it covered with our backup software. So I'd say press them some more. For example, have you tried recovering your AD? Because there is a world of difference between restoring a user and recovering an entire forest. And in my experience, most of the off-the-shelf backup software, whilst they're more than capable of restoring objects, it never recovers the AD in a supported manner. Have they proved that they can recover? How long did it take? Do you run disaster recovery exercises? There's a load of questions that potentially need to be asked, and Quest have tried to help resellers with a really, really excellent whiteboard for our partners to explain in simple terms.
I see. Yes, I've actually seen this whiteboard, and I agree it is really useful for partners and customers to better understand Quest's offerings and the need for them. But of course, Quest is not only the industry leader vendor for backup and recovery solutions, but they also have a great margin for resellers, don't they?
Absolutely. But it's not only the margin on the software, where resellers can make up to 40%, it's also services rich for partners, resellers. So if you're certified and able to deliver the recovery solutions, it's not just the installation, it's the ongoing yearly health checks, the helping the customer with fire drills, all that sort of thing.
Thank you so much. That's really important. Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much for joining me today. Do you have any final comments?
Yeah, don't forget Azure AD, that needs to be backed up too. It's not enough just to rely on a sync from the on-premise AD or the Azure AD recycle bin. There is a lot more to it than that, but that is a different story.
Wise words, and we'll have to book you in again to hear more about that. Well, like he said, if anyone would like to inquire about Quest's industry-leading solutions, don't hesitate to get in touch with our in-house specialist and business development manager, Thule Dicker, by emailing thuld@climbcs.co.uk. Alternatively, you can check out the Quest Vendor Hub on our website. Thanks for joining me again. Until next time, bye!